Hello everybody, welcome to my second Claymation behind the scenes commentary. I decided to make seasons out of my Claymation videos, so every time you see a behind the scenes video, that means the season has ended. For example, my first 9 videos are one season. They're all included in my first commentary, the ice block trap being the first one and ending with the angel trap. And now the second season includes 7 videos, starting with the Flammable Jelly and ending with the rack. At the end of this video, I will talk about which are some of the traps that will be included in the third season. But now let's get down to business. We're gonna start with the Flammable Jelly. I only made 2 walls for this set. I first started by painting the bricks and then the numbers. I know the numbers are hard to see, but I couldn't find a way to make them look better. And for the glass on the floor, I used little pieces of hard plastic. But I had to keep Claymar close to the walls or the safe because he couldn't stand on the plastics. So when I needed to move him across the room, I had to clear the area where he was standing. The candle is made out of clay, and for the fire effect when he gets burned, I just use a lighter close to him to make that light effect. And finally, what I use to make the burn body is aluminum paper painted with black and a little bit of green paint. Let's move on to the spike trap. This set is one of my favorites of this second season. It has a lot of detail and work put into it. I don't remember, but I think the black board is the first thing I made. I used black paint, and for the chalk effect I used white paint, but had to make it smooth and not use much. That blue chair is the same chair that was in the razor box trap from season 1. Sometimes I like to use things from previous sets. I think this wall is only in one shot of the Claymation video, but I want things to look good even if they're only in one shot. Here I'm making clay racks. The way you see me making this clay character is the same way I make all my other characters. I use toothpicks taped together for each spike. Here's the scene sheet I do before every video. I write all the shots and movements of the characters in order. I think you guys have seen this picture before. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but sometimes I like to put random things in my sets. For example, in the bedroom trap from season 1, I put in my high school ID somewhere in the walls. I give you a hint, it's close to the door. Okay everybody, here's my first original trap, the air fan. Remember, this is the second idea I had for a trap. The trap that will be in Air Fan Trap Part 2 is the first idea I had when I was in high school. I think my junior or senior year, I don't remember. Let's begin with the most important thing I've seen you guys ask. Why did Danny push the button with only seconds left if that would cause him to drink even more blood? Well, the answer is this. The original trap was that when Danny pushed the button, all the tubes would have been covered with something like this. That would cause all the blood to fall in the floor and not through the tubes. But I completely forgot about this detail, so now I had to change the story. And you will find out later why Danny decided to kill his brother with only seconds left. Okay, let's move on to the set. The set was inspired by old construction factories. There you see spilled cans of oil and all the materials this type of factories use. This huge box is the same one I used for the pendulum trap in season 1, and most likely I will use this box again for Air Fan Trap Part 2. There was a lot of changings to this trap compared to the first plans I had. Here's a picture of my very first idea for this trap. Originally, Jason was going to be hanging from the ceiling and he had to push his feet into those 2 knives to raise the air fans and push the buttons. If he pushed the 2 buttons, then he would have been lowered so he could have freed Danny on the floor. Obviously this trap was never gonna work, as well as the final idea for this trap. When I first told Kevin Greuter about my idea, this is the plan that I had. When I told him I had a great idea for a trap, he said he was afraid of getting sued because some of the other directors have been sued over people claiming they gave them ideas. But I mean, as long as you guys give me credit. But we'll see what happens later. When I came to almost the final plan for this trap, my idea was to include 4 tube cups, 2 for the hands and 2 for the feet, and all 4 tubes would have been connected to one, but I thought that would just look weird and it wouldn't have tubes everywhere. So I just made a new design, and here you see the final official plan for this trap. If you guys still don't understand the trap completely, here's how it works. Top brother has to first push his feet into these 2 spike buttons at the same time and steady. These 2 buttons are connected to the air fans in the way of the 2 top spike buttons. So by pushing the lower buttons, the air fans raise and top brother will be able to push all 4 buttons at the same time. But if he, for example, gets tired or it's hurting him too much and he decides to move or remove one of his feet or hands from the buttons, the top air fan will lower a little bit, because like I said, all 4 buttons must be pushed steady and at the same time. You might think, well, how can he push all 4 buttons at the same time if he is already pushing the lower buttons? And the answer is this: the lower buttons are not pushed all the way, they're only pushed halfway to raise the air fans, and then he can push them all 4 all the way to set himself free. Danny, who is the bottom brother, has no choice but to drink the blood because his nose is covered and all the blood stops air from coming to his mouth. I had different names for this trap before I came up with air fan trap. Here are the names I had: knife fan trap, air trap, blood tube trap, fan trap, and finally air fan trap. I didn't choose knife fan trap because that would sound like knife chair trap from South 4. Air trap is obviously not good enough. Blood tube trap would sound weird. Fan trap would have 2 meanings, being a trap from a fan of the Saw series or being a trap that includes a rotating fan. You see what I mean? So finally I came up with air fan trap. I had to take a lot of time to put together this trap scene because when I wrote this scene I didn't have the final idea for the set, so I had to use my imagination a lot. I know I'm not a very good actor, but I promise I will get better as I go with my original traps. Now here's the Mausoleum Trap. I really thought I was gonna have a very hard time with this trap. This is my most neat and I guess I can say beautiful set. I love how it looks, it's just so different from all the other ones. Here you can see the beginning process, the gluing, the painting, the details, and finally the decoration. Here I'm making the chandeliers. That thing you see there is real dry plants I use for the bases. I take my work very seriously. I like to make everything not perfect, but good enough. For the glass effect on the doors, I use plastic. This is the same method I used for the windows in the Pendulum Trap set. These are some of the heads I've used in previous videos. There's Rick from Icebox Trap, Rick again from Bedroom Trap, Amanda from Reverse Bed Trap Interrogation Room, and Amanda from Reverse Bed Trap Game, Seth from Pendulum Trap, and Mark from Flammable Jelly. Now the Venus Fly Trap. I was not very inspired while I was doing this trap, that's why it took me so long to finish it. But luckily this set doesn't have that much detail. Sometimes I need to buy stuff I need for my sets. For example, for this one I had to go to Lowe's and buy the wooden rods I use for the pipes. But the most things I buy is paint and clay. Now the hair trap. The first thing I did is the kitchen. The kitchen is only like in 2 shots, but like I said before, I take my work very seriously. Here's the dining room and living room set. Here you can see the details coming together. All the books in the bookshelves are made out of cardboard. I just cut it little squares, glue them together and paint them. This desk is my favorite thing from this set. It looks very real and has some special detail in it. The sofa cushions are made out of cardboard and I use real fabric to cover them. I tried to make the pig mask with paper, but it didn't work, so I just printed one from my computer and glued some red fabric to it. And finally, the rack. Like I said, this is the last trap from Season 2. Season 3 will begin with Air Fan Trap Part 2, and some of the traps I want to include are the bathtub from Saw 5, the furnace from Saw 2, the pig bed from Saw 3, and of course another boat contest, so you guys can decide which trap comes next. Also 2 more original traps, so that will make 3 original traps in the 3rd season. I'm doing the rack and the Air Fan Trap 2 sets back to back. I want to release them both before Saw 6 comes out. The rack's release will be maybe September 30th or October 1st. And for the Air Fan Trap Part 2, I want it to be the 10th or the 15th of October. I started building this set the very next day I released the hair trap. I started with the main wall and then the other ones, then all the details came together, and finally I made the torture device. I had a little trouble placing Clay Timothy on the device at the beginning. Something you guys should know is that in the summertime it's more difficult to make claymation videos because of the heat. The clay bends a lot and sometimes the process gets very messy. I have to make sure I keep the clay fresh when I'm not shooting. Okay everybody, thank you for watching this video and all my videos. I'll see you again in Season 3 coming this October. Bye everybody.